So ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo Switch is finally here, and with it comes yet another Zelda game that, well, let's just say loads of people were hyped about. In fact, I've been hyped for it because it's been developed for God knows how long. It's been delayed multiple times. So without any further ado, just check it out.
Open your eyes.
Breath of the Wild is essentially an open-world adventure game in the Zelda series that, strangely enough, does away with a very large majority of the staples that have been present in previous 3D Zelda games. And, if anything, it more closely resembles the original Legend of Zelda title on the NES. Right from the moment you get into this game, you are free to go pretty much wherever you want and do whatever you want. The world of this game is completely open for you to explore immediately, without specifically pushing you onto any path. In fact, freedom is essentially the entire point of Zelda Breath of the Wild, as you are given very minimal hand-holding, as you're essentially left on your own to basically frolic along the gorgeous grassy fields of the land of Hyrule, and make your own path throughout the game. Not to mention, there is essentially no limitations on where you are able to explore. If you can see something, you can essentially get there. In fact, considering how open this game is, it's actually very unlikely anyone else's experience playing through this game will be the same as yours. As you explore through the starting area and complete the first few quests to get you sort of into the game, the vast majority of the game's tools will become available to you through the use of special runes. These runes will enable you to summon bombs, lift metallic objects, and even freeze entire bodies of water, to name a few, which will be utilized during the course of the game's many puzzles that are present in the world. Weapons are just about littered everywhere, and for the most part are extremely easy to get hold of. Every single enemy will drop their weapons upon defeat, for example. Unfortunately, the game does offer a durability system, so after prolonged use, every single weapon you use will eventually break, which I can imagine will not be everyone's cup of tea. However, I love this because the game has an insane abundance of weapons that you will be able to access, and this enables you to eventually use many types of different weapons, and it forces you to not choose your favorite weapon over anything else and stick with it in order to keep combat with enemies fresh. Speaking of the combats, the basic mechanics are as simple as they have ever been in Zelda. You simply hold down a button to lock onto a foe, and then you press the attack button to, well, attack. However, there are a few things in this combat system that helps keep things fresh and offers a surprising amount of depth. For example, you can use a shield to bash enemy attacks at the right moment in order to parry them and create an opening for you to strike. Or you can dodge your enemy attack just as they are about to land in order to counter with a massive flurry of swipes. Whenever your weapon breaks during combat too, whoever you are fighting will actually receive double damage on the attack that broke the weapon, which I also find to be pretty damn neat. The entire world of this game is also extremely dynamic, allowing all kinds of shenanigans to occur. For example, if you need to cross a gap and there's a handy tree nearby, simply knock it down and you're able to make a bridge. See a camp of enemies below you and notice a boulder to your left? Well, push the boulder on top of them. Have some form of fire on hand? Well, burn everything. There's so many ways to approach any given scenario in this game, it's simply mind-boggling. Seemingly the only limit you have in regards to this is potentially your own imagination. Hell, just about every single surface in this game is climbable, and so long as you have enough stamina on hand, and are also smart about finding resting points, you can climb basically every single location on the world map, with the exception of very specific areas such as the shrines, for example. Littered throughout the world map are a very large number of these shrines that you are able to find and enter. Upon entering these, you'll be greeted with a room offering a puzzle or combat scenario that you must overcome. Upon completing these, you are awarded with spirit orbs that you are able to spend in order to increase your total health or stamina gauge, which truthfully, ladies and gentlemen, I wholly recommend because this game does not pull any punches. You may find yourself dying constantly due to how brutally tough some enemies can be during the course of the journey, or from falling off things, many of which will be able to easily kill you in one hit, especially during the earlier portions of the adventure. However, this is a lot less frustrating than it may sound, because with every single death that I've personally had in this game, I knew the death was entirely caused by my own fault, and I was able to overcome any battle simply by rethinking my strategy. Not only this, but the game itself is extremely lenient with checkpoints, usually offering one pretty much just before an encounter, with some exceptions here and there. Aside from shrines, you can also come across Korok puzzles in the world, which are usually little mini puzzles or challenges to accomplish upon finding them. These are usually pretty easy to come across and complete, but heavily recommended as they do provide you with a way to expand your inventory, which early game you will praise the gods when you get the opportunity to do so. Because the inventory in regards to your weapons and shields are very limited, and will usually be full up constantly during the course of your journey, which means every time you come across a new weapon or shield that you would like to take with you, you would need to go into your inventory and manually have to drop whatever you want to replace. Granted, this isn't too annoying after you get upgrades, but early on it can likely drive you crazy. As you progress across the world too, you are very likely to come across wild horses. If you are able to sneak up on these guys and jump on their back, then you will be able to tame these creatures in order to keep it as your own, and even name the horse by taking it to one of the many stables that are littered throughout Hyrule. Cooking can also be utilized with various items that you do pick up on your journey in order to create a number of healing items or elixirs to build up your health while it's low, or to allow you to increase your stealth capabilities, speed, and even resistance to hot and cold weather. Clothing that you acquire on your journey can also offer similar effects in regards to buffs, while also increasing your general defense. And I usually find myself swapping between different types of clothing and different types of armor depending on what situations I find myself in. The world itself is also pretty goddamn enormous to an insane degree, which will likely be a major turnoff to many players. However, what I've so found is, despite the incredible size of the world, I've always been finding new secrets, new enemy camps, new NPCs, among other things, and the world, despite its size, never feels barren, and is seemingly full of life. In fact, I found myself playing hours on end, just losing track of the time, because I keep noticing things in the corner of my eye which cause me to chain together moments of, "Ooh, what's that over there?" constantly. And surprisingly, I never found myself bored while exploring. Unfortunately, however, when connected to the TV, the game does suffer from occasional frame rate drops. These are never bad enough to take away from the experience from what I've played, but they can be pretty annoying, and oddly enough, don't seem to happen when you're playing the game in portable mode. Or at least I haven't noticed any while playing in portable mode at the very least. For the first time in Zelda history too, this game offers fully voiced cutscenes, which all seem to be pretty well made for the most part, and definitely a step up from having to read everything in previous Zeldas. But don't expect everything in the game to be fully voiced, as the game still has plenty of moments of reading dialogue boxes. The game also offers a pretty damn neat weather system on top of everything else that affects the world in numerous ways. When it rains, for example, it's harder to get a grip on rocks and whatnot, so climbing becomes much harder. During a thunderstorm, you will want to unequip any metal items you have, as you will attract the lightning. These thunderstorms are bloody terrifying, by the way. Ultimately, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is an absolutely phenomenal game through and through. I love almost every single aspect about this game. Almost everything it does right. It's one of the best open world games I've ever played, and I'm gonna be honest, I think it might actually be my brand new favorite Zelda title released. It's just such a fantastic game, and I would recommend it to anybody who owns a Nintendo Switch. I would recommend it to anybody who owns a Nintendo Wii U. Just, if you're able to get hold of this game, I heavily recommend it, because it is an absolutely fantastic time. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? But with that, that's the review, so thank you all for watching, hope you all enjoyed, and don't be sheepish, people. I'll catch you all again. Bye!